Sorry, hold on one second. The
No
lighting
problem.
got weird. Okay. Wait. All right, it's better. I fixed it.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I've just been like doing, whatever work I can do at home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm
So,
woefully prepared like for doing like I don't know, I feel like my mother all of a sudden where she's like, how do you do this Zoom thing? What is this? Google Hangouts.
all good, all good. Yeah, this is strange having to do like everything via, Google Hangouts or Zoom or whatever. So, where are you? Where are you at right now in the country? Are you in New
I
York?
am in the suburbs of Jersey. I left Brooklyn for a while because it seemed maybe not the best place to be at the moment.
Sure. Yeah. Were you living in Brooklyn?
I do live there, yeah.
Yeah. Where are you originally from? New Jersey?
Jersey, yeah.
Okay. Tell me about that. Were there venues for you to go check out and
Starland Ballroom was the big one.
okay.
It which is so funny because I got kicked out of Starland Ballroom when I was 15, I think. I like went to see Thursday play with my friend, and it was like
Oh,
a
I love
big deal
Thursday.
that my mom let me go to this concert on like a school night or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And so I was there with my friend, and he got in some fight in some sort of mosh pit or something, and because he thought that I was like next to him and that someone had punched me or something, and I was
Yeah.
nowhere near him at all. I was like, screw this, I'm going to stand in the back and watch. Because I've always been that kid. And so he apparently got in a fight with this person and got kicked out, and thus I was guilty by association.
Oh.
So I did not see Thursday play ever. I've never seen Thursday play now.
Oh my gosh, you haven't? Oh, it's
Never,
wow.
never since then. I feel like I've seen United Nations though.
Yeah, that's cool. That would be harder to see, I think, than Thursday.
Yeah, but
Because he doesn't really play much in that band as far as touring and
I know. I think we played a festival with them.
oh
But
really?
also, in line with the story, they did not remember my 15-year-old self when I played there. Apparently, it's not a lifetime ban. There's a statute of limitations.
Yeah, totally. So tell me about how you got into music. How'd you get into music originally?
I don't know. It's something that I've always been into. Like, I have no memories of not being into music. My earliest memories are like sitting in the car, driving to the Jersey Shore, listening to the Beach Boys and like loving it. But I really started deciding to play music on my own in high school when my sister was like really into like bands like Good Charlotte and Sum 41 and Linkin Park and like those kind of alternative radio bands, and she wanted to start a band. So
your
my
sister.
dad,
Your sister?
yes,
Okay, so you have two musicians in your family.
no.
Oh.
My dad bought both of us instruments, so he bought her a bass because she wanted to play bass, and he bought me a guitar, and she never played it, and I did.
So she had the bass, and she just decided when you guys got it that she didn't care enough
I mean, she
anymore.
played it like maybe a couple times or whatever, like tried to figure it out, and then was just like, meh.
So you started playing guitar in high school. Is that the first instrument you picked up?
Yeah, besides the recorder, which I don't recall being very good at.
Hot cross buns and whatever other couple they teach you when you're in elementary school or whatever.
Yeah.
Right on. So with guitar, was it self-taught? Did you start taking lessons? Like, how'd you learn how to play?
I took some lessons.
Okay.
I took some lessons with like a jazz guitarist, but it's like I was mostly self-taught, which is why maybe I'm not the best, but I'm also not the worst. So
right, yeah. So were you just trying to like learn covers and stuff, like try to learn some of those good Charlotte songs or whatever?
Well, I learned a lot of theory. I went to college for I minored in songwriting, so I also took AP music theory in high school, where we played keyboard, which I'm still as woefully bad at it as I was then, but enough to record music with it and
nice.
like play it if I label the keys. So if anyone ever sees me playing keyboard live, there will be the notes written on the keyboard. 100%.
Yeah.
But so I learned I had like that huge like background of like actual like music theory and stuff like that. But really once I started learning covers, I was just kind of like I didn't really care that much about the theory. It helps though. I mean, with like writing, it helps if you're stuck, but otherwise I didn't really find it to be that useful.
Okay. And you were taking those classes in college?
In high school and college, yeah.
Oh, high school. You had music theory in high school. Wow.
Yeah, it was, I took the AP test. So in college I got a pass out of gym class because I had random college credit from that AP theory. I also passed out of a lot of music theory classes in college because of that too.
Wow.
So I didn't have to take them
pretty
twice.
quickly then. You were like,
I
obviously
guess.
Understood it. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool.
At a time, there was a time where I understood it.
So tell me, when did you write your first song? Was it shortly after you learned some chords on guitar?
I think it was before that, actually.
Oh, wow.
I was always like a poet. I mean, I still am. And so I was always writing poetry. And when I got a guitar, I wanted to write songs right away. I always felt like I had melodies that were in my head. So I just kind of figured out with my fingers what kind of sounded good and I could like hit. And I made a song out of that. And that was the first song that I wrote.
Wow. And you were talking about writing poetry. Were you always into creative writing? Like as a kid?
Yeah, actually I made a last minute choice in high school to pursue writing professionally instead of graphic design. I wanted to be a graphic designer. And then after I made my whole portfolio and I got into college, I was like, actually, I changed my mind. I want to go to school to be a poet.
Oh, wow. So that's what you went into college as a creative writing major or something?
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
With the graphic design though, have you used that like as far as making logos or band stuff? Like, do you create all that stuff with that?
Yeah.
Sure?
I did all of our album artwork until this new one that's coming out. Someone else shot the photos.
Okay.
And my friend Natalie did that. And, but all the other stuff, like our t-shirts, I would say like 95% of our t-shirts and all of the album artwork of the past, I did all of that. Obviously I didn't take the photos of myself, but
right. But creatively,
yeah, I did all that stuff. Like, and sometimes if my friends are in a tight spot, I'll just do stuff for their bands also. Wow.
That's a cool skill to have. Being able to.
It's very handy.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So tell me, I don't know. Are you comfortable talking about Candy Hearts? I don't know where.
Yeah,
that lies.
Sure.
Okay. So you started Candy Hearts. It's from what I saw, it's like 2009. But was that the first band you ever started? What was the first band you played in?
Well, I kind of played in bands when I was younger. I remember I was in some cover band for a week in high school.
What'd you guys cover?
Taking Back Sunday.
Oh, I love Taking Back Sunday.
And Brand New. Those were we were covering Brand New and Taking Back Sunday almost exclusively. However, I had an argument with one of the guitarists about the most inane thing. It was I asked him what time signature something was in because I didn't understand what was happening. And he could not give me that answer. And I guess I made him feel stupid or something. And so they decided the next week that having a girl in their band was not good for their image.
Interesting.
So one of the one of them that was the most the biggest pushover came to tell me during lunchtime.
Oh, he had to be the guy to break the news to you.
Yeah. And I was I just thought it was so dumb.
Wow. Yeah.
But that was kind of it.
I'm sure growing up in Jersey, Taking Back Sunday and like Brand New and Saves the Day, a lot of those like Long Island to Princeton type bands, are those must be a pretty big
They were
deal and
massive. Yeah.
big influences on a lot of people out there.
Yeah, definitely. And at the time I was listening to a lot of stuff like that. But there was sort of like a split when I was like, I would say around 14 or 15, where I was listening to that stuff, but then I decided I like stopped kind of. And I was more listening to like Bright Eyes and like Cursive
Oh,
and
cool.
those like kind of Saddle Creek bands.
Sure. Yeah.
There was a little bit of creative differences too in that week-long project I did before I got kicked out.
Yeah.
We were called a Shotgun Gloria. That was like
that's a pretty cool name.
Most emo. It was like so tight.
That's good. I'm surprised.
It's like you're a screamo cover band from New Jersey, 100%.
Sure.
No one is gonna think you're anything else.
Yeah. Taking elements of like Brand New, North Star, even like Taking Back Sunday there. That's hilarious.
So funny.
So after the cover band, what was next for you musically? Was that Candy Hearts?
Yeah, I went to college and I was playing, like I had always just written songs by myself. I had like a little 4-track recorder at home that I tried to record myself and put it on MySpace or whatever. And I went to college and met a bunch of people who were studying recording and, you know, playing music. And, you know, we collaborated a lot. And that's where my boyfriend at the time was like, hey, like, you're really good. Like, why don't we start a band that sounds like the Thermals? That's what we decided we wanted to sound like, which we never, ever sounded like, not once. And so we started the band from there when I was like 19.
And just you and your boyfriend at the time?
It was
other
us.
members?
It was the two of us. And then he just enlisted his friends to like fill in the gaps. So we had my friend Greg, and he played bass, and he actually played bass with us through like long after college through, what was it? The record that we did, our first like real full length that wasn't like demos, but also it was recorded in my mom's basement. So I don't know how real that is. But
which one? The Best Ways to Disappear?
No, before that. The one before that.
Is it acoustic EP?
No, there are drums. We saved up enough money to record drums in a studio. And because my boyfriend who was in the band was a like engineer, so he had a connection at a studio, so we could get it really cheap. So we did that, and then we recorded the rest of it in my mom's basement, which is actually where I am right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, so look, this is the drum set. It's like way back there.
I see it. I see some cymbals.
Yeah.
So that's the drum kit that you recorded the record on?
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. That's really cool. So tell me about, so was that demo, was that ripped Up Jeans and Silly Dreams? Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah. Okay. So you guys put that together, and were you playing shows and stuff?
That actually, so I recorded that completely with my friend Louie, who was playing drums at the time for us. So it was really just the two of us who did it.
Oh, wow. So you did all the guitars and bass and vocals and stuff?
He did most of the guitars. I would say I did like 5%.
Oh, okay.
But I did the vocals and other stuff.
You wrote the songs.
But then we went on our first tour that winter break.
Wow.
It was January, yeah. So we went on our first tour January 2010, I think. And it was amazing because it was like I don't know what happened, but that album some people got, and came to our shows and were singing all the words. And that was like
Wow.
something I never experienced before. And I honestly don't even know how that happened.
Really? You just
But it
decided
kind
to
of set the
tour, and
tone.
when you'd show up to venues, people knew who you guys were and everything.
Yeah. It made
Wow.
no sense to me.
And where was the record? Where was it accessible? Like just on MySpace?
I think what really did it, if I could try and pinpoint something, was definitely not our MySpace that no one absolutely went on ever. I think it was, there was this site called If You Make It that posted downloads of like DIY punk records, but they had like really cool records, and they did like this session called the Pink Couch Sessions that had a lot of like really great artists like Reviver and stuff in the DIY
Oh,
scene.
wow. Yeah.
And I believe his name was Dave who ran that. He posted our album when I asked him, and we did a session that through some mishap of like a melted down hard drive never got posted, but the album
Oh,
reached like you could track the downloads. It was like thousands of people, and I never before even thought that thousands of people would look at anything that I did ever.
wow. So that was on that first tour. You guys did you just go out by yourselves, or did you tour with another
Yeah.
band?
No, we just
And how did you book
did it.
it? Cold calling
I
venues?
have no idea. See, this is like where I try to remember the gaps of like, now that I'm like a DIY artist without like a booking agent anymore or anything,
Uh-huh.
I'm thinking like, wait, we did that. And at the time it was easy and normal, but now I'm like, how did we do that? I don't remember. I
Wow.
feel like
Yeah.
someone else in the band definitely handled the majority of it.
That's cool. Where'd you tour? Just the East Coast?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
And
awesome
we had
though.
been doing like weekenders and stuff before that.
So did you guys have like a van and everything that you had to cram into?
Oh, what did we do? Oh, I think we went in the minivan that my mom had handed down to me and my brother and my sister in high school. And actually, we toured in a minivan for a few years, even when it made no sense anymore to tour in a minivan.
Just for nostalgia, you kept using it?
Because we're cheap and poor.
Totally. Right on. So after that first tour, you put out that record, and then what was the next step for you guys? Is that when the acoustic EP came out, or did you start right away working on Everything's Amazing and Nobody's
The
Happy?
acoustic EP was something that we did just to have something new on Warped Tour.
Oh, okay, so you guys got put on Warped Tour that quickly?
No, that was years later.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if like, because that was like not, for some reason, anywhere that you would search that online, all the dates are wrong, and I don't know why.
Yeah, because everything I've seen, it said it came out like right as after the.
Yeah, I
Everything's
don't know
Amazing and
who. I
Nobody's
mean,
Happy.
I appreciate the fans that really take all of this time to piece together my life that I can't even keep track of myself. But that one came out in 2015.
Okay. Yeah, I have
So
2012.
the first real record. So so that's what happened. So we had gotten like a manager when we recorded Everything's Amazing. Our manager also owned like the DIY label. It was just like a Bushwick little label, her thing. She was working in the music industry. I forget what she was doing. She was smart. So we were like, sure. And she was really smart.
She put it out. Yeah, she put it out
She
for
put
you
it
guys.
out, and she got us a tour with Man Overboard.
Wow.
Which was like my first real tour where I was like, oh my God, like the distance between doing it for a living like Man Overboard and where we are is like the tiniest jump. So I was like, I guess we can do this if we just like.
What would you see as far as differences?
Well, just based on like how we were the opener, right? And they were like the headliner, and there were like, a couple hundred people there each night. But like we were selling this much merch, and then I would ask the like band in the middle, and they were selling that much merch, and then I would ask, my friend who did Man Overboard's merch, and they were selling like that much, so I could see
that you guys were getting.
easily
Yeah,
the
you're pretty
trajectory.
close. Yeah, you guys were getting close to what they were selling, or if not the same.
Not the same, but we were hopping on, definitely never
Yeah.
the same as Man Overboard. They had those t-shirts with that gun on it.
Oh
No, not even close.
yeah.
But the middle band that was also doing it for a living, we were much closer to.
Wow.
So that seemed realistic.
Uh-huh.
And once we went on that, one of the members of Newfound Glory had heard, it was Steve, I think, who had heard our band. And this was on some tour. It wasn't the Man Overboard one. It was before that. And he said they were listening to it on the bus or something.
Wow.
And I was like super flattered, and I could not believe, I don't even know where they heard it from or whatever. And so he reached out to me about producing. And then Chad reached out to me about producing, and I thought that they worked as a team together. And apparently that was completely the opposite of the case, because I don't really know how much they actually, I mean, he's obviously not in the band anymore.
Right.
But so,
Chad is a big deal as far as like producing, and aside from the fact that he does all that with Newfound Glory, but he's got a lot going on.
Yeah, he's really talented.
Yeah.
So I am not someone who ever is like, yo, bro, check out my demo.
Mm-hmm.
But, Steve was like, oh, wait, you talked to Chad, then I can't talk to you anymore. So I was like, okay.
That's interesting. Did he give you a reasoning behind that?
Yeah. He didn't want to like, snipe work from his bandmate.
Oh, I got you.
Because
even though he contacted you first, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, but also he was the one who didn't follow through in the same way. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not aggressive with showing people my stuff, and I was not going to show them anything. I was like, oh, sure, you want to hear my demo? That's a really kind thing to say. Like, I would say that to someone having no intentions of ever listening to anything they sent me, just to be nice. Yeah. So I never sent it to them. But then he found out, he saw that I was on tour with Man Overboard because they were close. Mm-hmm. And he reached out to me again and was like, I'm really offended that you're going on tour with my friends. I offered to help you. You didn't say anything to me. And, you're not even telling me you're on tour with my friends, and like, I could have helped you. And I was like, oh, you were for real? Okay. Well, if you're actually for real, when I get home, I'll send you stuff. So I did. And then we recorded The Best Ways to Disappear.
Oh, wow. And that was with Chad. He produced the record?
Yeah.
How was it working with him? That must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, he's smart. He knows how to make guitar sound really cool. He definitely helps with like hooks. He's really good with hooks. Mm-hmm. Like, especially like guitar-based hooks. And that whole kind of like 90s nostalgia vibe he's really good at. And Paul, the engineer, he did it with Paul Miner at his studio. He also helped produce it too. And he just can get sounds out of the weirdest stuff that I would never think of. I learned a lot.
So you put that out. That album did, as far as what I've read about it, I mean, it was huge on Kerrang, and it was like one of the
I can't even believe that. I feel like I don't know. It's like my crowning achievement. I don't think I've done anything that people liked as much as that yet. Hopefully this one they will. But yeah, that was wild.
With that recognition, did that get you bigger tours and bigger shows?
Yeah. Well, we got a booking agent for that tour. We were working with Newfound Glory's booking agent at the time. So we just got put on whatever people would allow us to be on. Mm-hmm. So we did tour a lot with like, definitely a lot of tours with Newfound Glory. We did stuff with like We Are the In Crowd. We did our first time across the country. We did alone. It was a co-headlining tour with Allison Weiss, that was cool. They're now in a project called Johnny Alligator, I think, which is cool.
Nice. Yeah.
And yeah, we just kind of went for it.
Mm-hmm. Was that? Well, tell me about. You said you were able to get on the Warped Tour and stuff. Was that during that time period, or was that later?
No, that was later. That was after we released All the Ways You Let Me Down.
Okay, so that
We
was the
did
next
Warped Tour.
record. That was the next record, and Chad produced that one as well, right?
Yes.
So you were doing tours with Newfound Glory on that with the first album that he helped produce.
Yeah.
Okay, so you just kept that connection with
And
them.
then also with All the Ways You Let Me Down, we went to the UK with them.
Wow. Tell me about that. Had you ever been out of the country before?
I had only gone to on vacation to Italy once to visit my family, and so no, I had never. And I'm not sure the other guys have either, because I felt a little bit like a single mom brings her kids on a European vacation, trying to figure all of this stuff out for us.
Yeah. Is it confusing? Like, did you have to drive around? Like, tell me about it.
Oh, yeah. No. Thankfully, I think Chad understood how I was so stressed out and we were so poor. And I was like, I want to do this. And I just don't know how we can afford it if I have to like find someone to drive a van there and rent this van. And because like we can drive. It's like now I'm confident I could drive on the other side of the road because I was like kind of living in England for a while, but then I had never been out of the country, and really aside from Canada, and I didn't know what to do. So he made a deal with the Story So Far to take two of us on their bus with State Champs, which I was not allowed on because I had just broken up with someone in State Champs.
Oh.
And he was actually kind of nice to me on that tour when I was sad. But yeah, he was like, oh, I hate that I have to be nice to you.
Oh.
When we just broke, like, I don't know. He was nicer than he had to be. And then two of us were on Newfound Glory's bus.
Oh, okay. That's nice though. Yeah. So you got to tour Newfound Glory the first time you ever played outside of the States?
Yeah, and live on their bus with them.
Wow, that's cool. Were those shows pretty big? I mean, they were
amazing. They were the best shows that I think I've ever played. And
really,
I just wanted to do that again. It was amazing. And now, like with the coronavirus, we were finally planning our first proper UK tour again, and also do Europe, which we've never done before. And then 2 weeks after, someone reached out to me on the internet being like, hey, we run like this female driven booking agency. Do you want us to book you European things? We can find someone to drive you. It costs this much and we'll just handle all of the vehicle and the driver or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I can do this again because I can find this is someone who can handle all the stuff that makes it impossible for me to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I want to do this. Let's start booking it. And she's like, okay, maybe like October. And then 2 weeks later, everything shut down because of coronavirus. And I was like, I guess put it on hold because we don't like, why plan something that I have to put money down on
right
now? Because I don't know when it's going to be able to happen.
Yeah, I know.
Like, because it's not even just like going around America. It's like going
anywhere.
It's like going not only around America, because we were doing that too. That got canceled, but that I'm confident like when things are back open, we can just book that. We were going to do like California, Midwest.
Yeah.
That's no problem. But traveling to like different countries around Europe is just, I feel like has the opportunity to spread a lot of disease.
Oh, totally.
We fall ill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it felt like a selfish thing. So
I know it's crazy times right now. It's so unfortunate. Nobody could do anything. It's like all like live events are totally to a hold.
It's like I release an album for the first time in 3 years and
Everything shuts down. I know. Oh man. So okay, so that was after All the Ways You Let Me Down that came out. You did the tour of Europe. Chad produced that record again. And then what was next for you guys after you put out that album and did that tour?
Then was Warped Tour.
Okay.
That was the next thing.
Tell me about Warped Tour.
We did it in a van, and I got to be honest, I was a little bit misadvised. Sometimes I don't want to say it's like the fault of people who were working for us, because I think that they were really, really smart and really good at their jobs. And I was like, I felt every day so unbelievably lucky to work with these people that like, I didn't even want to message them when I had a problem because I didn't even want to bother them. I'm like, I had a manager who I didn't even want to manage me because I didn't want to bother her because I felt so lucky that she was you know what I mean?
Yeah. I completely understand that.
But the problem with being a small band on an entire roster of large bands is that sometimes people don't really understand what it's like to be in a small band. So I was like advised with like, well, why can't you do Warped Tour in the van that you have? And the van that we had was rotting out completely and had no air conditioning and would not even make it across the country. And I was like, what do you mean? Why can't we? What? Why do you think we can do that?
Yeah.
And then I was told we could not afford a bus. And so I bought a van, a better one that had air conditioning.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And when I showed up at Warped Tour, everybody had split buses with other bands. And it was completely affordable and we could have afforded it and it would have saved a summer of misery. And I was very mad when I figured that out.
Oh, so other bands were like doubling up in buses and stuff?
Yeah. And production was helping them meet each other and link each other up. And I had no idea because I was like, I don't know anyone on this tour. Right. I don't know anyone I could split with. I have no idea how to buy a bus because like, how do you rent a bus? I've never done that.
Yeah.
So there's this whole stuff that we were not aware of. And wow. So we went into it in a van with 6 people. I drove to my friend's house. I built with his dad a bunch of bunks in the back of the van.
Jeez.
And people told us like, this is going to break up your band. If you do this in a van, it's going to break up your band. And honestly, the whole summer we were all kind of like, this isn't that bad. I mean, it's not great, but it's like not as nearly as bad as everybody told us it would be. It was fine.
Did you just follow everybody around like a caravan? Like how does that work?
Yeah. It depends because like sometimes we would leave a little bit early if everyone was tired because we had to drive in a way where we couldn't really sleep well. But well, actually I took Ambien, so I was the only one who slept totally fine. So lucky me, but
that's funny.
They do a thing where it's like you know the bus call is at a certain time. So for people in buses like who have drivers who need a certain amount of time to sleep or whatever, that's when you would leave to go to the next place. So we just followed those things so we could stay part of the like community.
Yeah.
So everyone traveled as a caravan, but it came in clutch at the Toronto border, Montreal or whatever the heck border that is, Canada, to be in a van because people in buses were on this massive line where everything was searched and like,
oh, I'm sure.
They're like, yeah. And we just went right through. Like, no problem.
Was that a great way to network with people? Like, were you meeting a lot of bands on the Warped Tour?
Yeah, I feel like I met a lot of people and made a lot of friends that I'm still friends with today. It was definitely an experience where it felt like being back in like middle school or something where a lot of the bands had been there for many years. I only did like before that a couple dates every year for the last like few years. So I didn't really
Mhm.
know that many people. And it was kind of like, you know, you go to catering and you sit down and you look at all the tables of people who know each other and you're like, I'm in my 20s now and I'm sitting alone at a lunch table feeling
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
loser. But then, you know, I made friends
That's good.
just as you
Yeah.
do in, you know, high
Sure.
school and middle school or whatever when you're in that situation.
Yeah, yeah. When you did they have like a check-in and stuff? Like were they, kind of tallying who was showing up like as far as bands go or like, uh-oh, we lost Candy Hearts back. Well, they didn't play with us since Toronto or you like did they
Oh
was
yeah, every day
yeah.
you had to check in and get your set time because they make it really fair for everybody. So they had like the set times were random every day so that there was no headliner.
Oh
It was
yeah,
just
they do like a
random.
lottery, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah, so you had to wake up at the crack of dawn to get the set time so you knew when you were playing. And that's like when you would check in.
Did you guys ever get like a really good time slot where you're playing like at 6:30 or something, the sun's going
I felt
down?
like most time slots were good. I feel like it was just like almost always good. If it was like a good market, like if the show was good,
Mhm.
it was good.
It didn't matter what
The
time you played.
the only thing that mattered to me about what time I played, and I would think my bandmates would back this up, is that if you played at 4 or 5 o'clock when the heat was like at the peak of like the day, it was like
Mhm.
freaking miserable. Like I literally fainted.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You
And then
fainted?
yeah, I did.
Like on
And
stage or just like after you played?
yes,
Whoa, tell me about
yes.
that. That's crazy.
It was well, when it happened, I knew that happens to me sometimes. So I was not concerned.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and I knew it was happening. So I was like, I need to sit down.
Uh-huh.
So I sat down or whatever. And then it was like, took a second. I came back and then I was like, okay, I have to finish. Like, let's finish this. And I was like, cause I knew like as I was fainting, I was like trying to dump water over my head and drink water and like, because it was definitely like heat and like I,
Like
I
heat
was irresponsible
exhaustion.
that day and I slept in and I missed breakfast. So I was, it was like blood sugar and like all those
Oh,
things. And
sure.
so, um, people saw me in the, like from the audience pouring, like they give you cans of like water that are made to look like Monster Energy drink to,
Oh,
as like
yeah, it's
marketing.
as
So I was like,
marketing and they're just water
so I was like
inside.
chugging these things like that look like Monster Energy drink and pouring it all over my head. And people were tweeting at me at like, somebody get her water. Why is she only drinking Monster Energy? She's gonna be really sick. And
Oh,
then then you know when I came back and I tried to finish the set, I had to finish it sitting down
wow.
because I just could not stand without it happening again.
Mhm.
And I remember I was like, the stagehand was like, let me help you off, like just trying to carry me. And I'm like, no, 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 I'm fine. Don't touch me. I'm going to walk. If you make a big deal of this, my mom's going to like see this online. Like people are going to write about it and she's going to see it online and she's going to be very concerned and she's going to like
Yeah,
text me upset.
yeah.
And I was like, didn't even know where I was, like walking. And they're like, you're not even, that's not even where are you going? And then so he picked me up and carried me off and gave me like whatever. And then the minute he like picked me up or whatever and I was like on my phone and he was like carrying me so freaking dramatically um uh my phone buzzed and my mom was like, I'm reading online, what happened, are you okay? I'm like, oh my
Oh
god.
my gosh.
I was
She
of
got
course fine.
she got like a Google alert or something with your name. Like how I wonder how
Yeah,
that's crazy how quickly she found out about that.
I knew that would happen.
Wow. So that was 2014 and
15.
15. Okay. 2015. And then tell me about from there you changed the band name, right, to Best X, which you're now. And what was the transition there and do you want to I don't know if you're feel comfortable talking about that or how did that all kind of
I'll talk about some of it. Well, I felt like at the time like I really, you know, we were coming off this album trying to get into a new album cycle. We were in a point where it was like we weren't making enough money for the people who in good faith were working with us. our contract was over with, Bridge 9 and like Chad and all of that stuff. So we were
Mhm.
really at like this kind of crossroads where we needed to work on new music, and some stuff happened on Warped Tour that gave me a bad reputation, even though it's not my fault and I do not deserve the reputation. But then that became more public, and I was just kind of like, I needed to get out of this scene
Mhm.
because the scene was always so horrible to me as like a woman, and the woman that I saw. It was like always bad. And like there's all this great stuff that I'm telling you about that was like amazing, but
Mhm.
it always felt like a trade. It's like if I want this amazing stuff, I have to subject myself to these things that are horrible. It felt like, I don't know, it felt like paying with something for your, like with my soul a little bit.
Mhm.
So I was like, I can't do this. Like I can count the number of tours on like one hand that I've been on that something really shit didn't happen because I'm a woman. So
Oh.
I was like, I need to find a community that has more women in it, is, more friendly
Mhm.
to female creators. I can't just be on another tour with a group of like 20-year-old guys who look at me like I'm somebody that they can claim for themselves, and I'm not even like a real person. It was like really weighing on me more than
Mhm.
ever because it was many years of tolerating. Um, so I decided to change the band, go in a different direction with that more closely aligned with like the kind of music I was listening to at the time.
Mhm.
And it took me a long time to kind of get it together because I was trying to find like, you have to figure my band was like here, and then I'm trying to do stuff by myself that's completely new and completely different.
Yeah.
And it's like a risk for people. So a lot of people weren't down with it.
Yeah.
Um,
And it was a risk for
so
you as well, leaving something that you already had built. I would think would be
yeah,
kind of
I
a
mean, it was
risk.
sad, and it is sad when I think about it because I never wanted that to be the thing. But, ultimately you have to look at it like, and even my mom was like, for what? For stupid Warped Tour? Why do you think that matters? Like, why would you put yourself through this for like that?
Mhm.
And, she's right. Cause on like the big scale of things, being able to play shows or whatever is not really worth your mental health or your sanity.
Sure.
And it's certainly not worth being habitually treated like shit
Yeah.
just because you want to
'Cause
do something. And it's not fair that I have to feel that way. And it's not fair to me that other people get to have that success and they don't pay for it. I mean, I
Mhm.
think everyone pays for it in some way, but they don't pay for it as much. And so I didn't care. I was like at the point where I was like afraid to play shows. I was being harassed. Like everything, like every time I would open my phone, I would have a panic. I would panic every morning when my phone rang or when someone called me. It got to the point where like no one from my team could call me without me panicking or leave a message because I would think that another bad thing was happening that people found out about, or it was another person that I knew that did something that would be in the press that I'm seeing, or like it would just be another bad thing that I would
Mhm.
read in the news and be like, oh my God. Like, you don't know what it feels like to kind of open your phone and you're like having your regular day and you open your phone and you look at Twitter and then all of a sudden you see like you or someone you know or something and it's like in the news and you're just like,
Yeah, I
uh,
can't imagine that.
yeah.
That's
So,
terrible.
so I kind of stepped back for a while and I took it really slow, kind of figuring out what I wanted to do. And that took like 2 years.
Wow.
Before I really felt comfortable playing again even. And even on that first tour, like my band they were like, they were very sweet, but they were, because I had one member who had been with me throughout Warped Tour and stuff. And I remember this moment that really broke my heart because I didn't think anybody noticed it. I didn't think anyone noticed it at all. I thought it was just like in my head.
Mhm.
But I had like a panic attack after like I had some sort of like argument with my management at the time or something, who I can't say anything about because anytime he even hears that I've said something, he sends me a letter to threaten me.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so yeah. So it was some stupid argument where it just stressed me out. It was like not even, it was like not here nor, it was just like it stressed me out.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, you guys, we have to go to we have to go to urgent care. I can't live like this another day. Like, I can't live without medication. And, I hadn't been on like anxiety medication in years because I stopped touring. I stopped needing it
Mhm.
because I was not being fucked with constantly. And
Right.
so oh, we tried to find like a hospital or something in Virginia that would give me something to
Right.
make
I
me not
guess.
panic because I just
Mhm.
like I could not sleep. I was going crazy. And years late, like a couple of years later, this bandmate who had that was the first time I toured with him. Like I didn't know him before.
He
Now he's
joined
like,
your band?
yeah, he joined my band,
Okay.
Matthew Florio. He's like my dude now. But on that tour, he said like he joined the tour without knowing me, and he was like, people were telling me, oh, like, how's that? How is she? What's that going to be like? Like I was like, I don't know, some
Yeah.
kind of monster or something.
Yeah, that's weird.
And he was like, that's so weird because it's like it was like the opposite. And he told me that my bandmate during that time when I was in the hospital and they were waiting for me in the waiting room said thank you for treating her like a person because nobody else does. And like that's kind of when I realized like I made the right decision to
Yeah.
do something new because I'm not the only one who noticed it.
Mhm.
Like it was that bad that he noticed it. And like even so the people who noticed it never said anything or did anything. So then I was happy with that choice.
Yeah. So that happened after you decided to start Best X?
Yeah, it was our
Okay.
first cross country tour back. I went on a co-headlining tour with Shane from Valencia. He was doing his solo stuff and I did my band.
Mhm.
So we did like a full US.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. And did you have new songs and stuff recorded for
Yeah,
this tour and stuff?
it was to support Ice Cream Antisocial, and came out in the middle of the tour.
Oh, awesome. And you have and was that your first record with as
Yeah.
Best X? Okay. And is this next one coming out your second?
Hmm.
Is it this going to be an EP?
Yeah. I
Cool.
have enough songs for like I originally recorded an album, like a full length, but I think it's smart because my publicist is just so smart. He was like, you should split it up. Like,
Yeah.
who's gonna listen to a whole album? And I'm like, if I didn't know you, I'd be offended. But I mean, who is gonna listen to a whole album? I don't even listen to whole albums of my favorite bands.
Yeah. That's or you listen to it a couple times when it first comes out, and then you have your 3 or 4 favorite songs.
Exactly. So why not stretch it so people can find 3 or 4 favorite songs in the half that
Out
they
of
would ignore?
Yeah, exactly. Now you have a 5 or 6 song EP, and maybe somebody will love 3 of them, and then the same for the next
Exactly.
album. Yeah, that's awesome. So this is the new one that's coming out. It's Good at Feeling Bad.
Hmm.
Okay, and that comes out pretty soon here, right? May.
Yeah, May 22nd, I think.
Okay,
Or
yeah.
I was giving people the wrong date because I don't know what
I
is
have
the
May 22nd, so
okay. When does music come out now? I feel so old, but I got
Fridays.
so confused when they changed it from whatever day it was to
It used to be on Tuesday, and now they
that's where I
changed it
got
to
confused.
Friday. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It
weird
makes
how they
more
did
sense on
that.
a Friday.
Totally, totally. And it's cool too. Well, you're on the East Coast, I guess, so it doesn't affect you, but we're on the West Coast, so we'll get records on Thursday at 9 p.m. because it's
That's
technically
cool.
midnight in New York or East Coast. Yeah, so we'll see them come through about 3 hours earlier than anyone
That's
else, so
very
that
cool.
matters. And tell me about this quarantine mixtape that you're on.
I'm
Have
on
you
a
seen
quarantine
that?
mixtape.
I think it's a mixtape on. I'm looking at it. It's sold out. Quarantine mixtape. You don't know anything about this? Guess not.
No, I know nothing about this. What is it? Who's on it?
Middle distance stance. Oh, hey, hold on. Are these things? But your name's on here. I'm so confused. It has like a Tower Records thing. Let me share my screen with you, just because you don't know what I'm talking about.
No, but this wouldn't be like bizarre if it's a true thing and I don't know about it.
Hold up. Can you see my screen?
Oh wait, that's cool. And my name is on. Oh, that must be something from No Sleep.
Yeah,
That
it is. But it's
I don't know. He probably texted me. I was like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll do whatever. Just do it." And then
it's rad. I love how it has the Tower Records like
that's so cute.
$7.99 thing on it. But yeah,
Wait, that's so cute.
yeah. So
That's really cool.
you're on a tape and it's sold out. So just
Really?
so you know.
That's so cool. Wait,
Yeah.
that feels really good.
Yeah, I was checking
I didn't
that out.
know that because people always like, like my team will ask me like, "Do you want to put your song on this?" And like, if it's something for charity or whatever, and it's not something that is like a horrible charity, which I don't think they would even bring to me, I just always say yes because I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't I?
Cool. Yeah. Well, you're on this mixtape that's completely sold out. So there you go. So were you on Note Sleep Records before with Candy Hearts or no?
No.
So how'd you link up with them?
It's amazing what people do when you just ask. I don't know, like, because my ex-boyfriend's band used to work with Chris's label. So I met him when I was hanging out with Jono from the Swellers, watching my ex-boyfriend set at Warped Tour. And we knew who each other was because, like, we have so many of the same. It's like so many almost so many connections of like, but not us. So I just asked.
That's cool. And they got on board and they put out.
Well, I asked for the first one, and then ultimately I decided I just wanted to see what I could do by myself. And then this time I decided like maybe it would have been better to just have someone help me.
And then you've got Gap Tooth, that video's out, and that's going to be on the new record.
Yeah.
Tell me about that song and the video.
That song I wrote. I had been living kind of here and in England with like my ex. So like every month or every other month or so, I would like go there for a few weeks and then I would come back. And then it was like this whole thing that lasted for like since Warped Tour, because I met him on Warped Tour. So like how many years of that?
Oh,
and
wow.
then and then I was gonna take a longer stay there and gear towards a more like not permanent, but like as much as I could on my visa move, like a year or something, kind of move there. And then I was supposed to go a couple days after Christmas, and he dumped me pretty much on Christmas out of nowhere and blocked me from everything. And then I never talked to him again. And so I wrote that song because on New Year's, I was like completely heartbroken because he had like begged me to spend New Year's with him, right? And I was like, I don't know, like I always spend it with my grandma. I don't know if I want to miss that this year. Like, and then I ultimately decided, you know what, it'd be fun to do something different. Like I'll come for New Year's and I'll just make my trip, I'll extend my trip longer to come on New Year's. And then, so I was watching him on New Year's, like with all of our friends where I was supposed to be through Instagram or whatever, just sitting, like crying,
That's
not knowing what happened.
Yeah.
So I wrote that song about that.
And then you shot the video and stuff. It looks like in New York? Are you in New York in the
Yeah, yeah.
video? Yeah, like the subway and stuff.
So I wanted part of this thing was like the main like and the only argument I had with him in like recent years was that I wanted him to help me film a music video, right? Because he had filmed actually the video for Bad Love, which
Oh.
took pulling a lot of teeth to get after he blocked me on every platform.
Mhm.
Um, so that was delayed release. So I was like, can you just help me? Like, I'm coming to you to like be there in a different country, and I don't know anyone who can do this for me. Can you just like take an hour or two and just like try to like hold a camera so I could just have like something to make a lyric video or anything out of?
Mhm.
And he told me I was too disorganized and I would never be able to create a video. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We just did one. I don't know. He also
Yeah.
did the one for See You Again with me.
Okay.
So I was like, what the hell are you talking about? We did two that were fine. I don't understand why you, but that really bothered me. So I hired a female crew and directed my own music video that he said I could
Wow.
not direct because I was scatterbrained. And the idea was to kind of be an offshoot of See You Again, because the See You Again video was about spending like the best day ever in New York City. And so it's like during the summer, we're in Coney Island, playing all the games, like riding on all of the rides, having so much
Mhm.
fun, whatever. And then this is kind of like after that of like what it's like on the
The
dark
other
side of Coney
side.
Island,
Yeah.
where it's closed and it's like December and it's
Cold.
sleeting. It was like,
Yeah.
and it was at sunrise.
Wow. That's kind of a cool I mean, kind of turned full circle with the song being about what
Yeah,
it
I wish
was
the
and everything.
sunrise was more like you could see it more, but we just could not get a day where it didn't rain.
Oh, yeah. The video's great. I
Thank
think it's
you.
awesome. Yeah. It's a rad. It's so cool that you directed it. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Mhm. Well, tell me about this new EP. Are you like, is it different than the last album you put out with Best X? It's obviously probably different than what you're doing with Candy Hearts because I can see those differences right away with the new sound. I think.
Yeah, there's like one song that I feel like could work with Candy Hearts.
Yeah,
Um,
most of it's
and it's
yeah.
coincidentally the one that I just cannot figure out how to play. I just cannot do it. And like my bandmate is like, I don't know what you're not getting. And I'm like, I don't know. I can't do this. I can't do it. Because there was something we added, like some guitar thing we added after I wrote it. And I'm like, I just don't understand now that I had it in my head one way. And
Sure,
now
tried
it's,
to figure
yeah.
out the new way it
So,
sounds. Yeah,
so someone will always have to do that for me. But this one, I think you can kind of see a natural progression of like, I feel like, God, I say like a lot.
I didn't notice it.
Ice Cream Antisocial is like the middle
Uh-huh.
ground. It's like a very clear bridge. Like when you listen to this, it will be very clear that that was like the bridge to where I'm going from where I was.
Oh, okay.
Um, this is much more pop minded.
Hmm.
Um, definitely with more like electronic kind of sounds.
Sure.
We
What was
recorded it. I mean, there was a big thing of like, what do you do if you don't have money to go to a studio? So you can't record drums. How do you make your sound work for that environment? Um, so we crafted a sound where we don't need a drummer.
Yeah, it's just it has the more you went more of the electronic route as far as that
Yeah,
that aspect of it.
yeah. Which is kind of like, you know, what I was listening to at the time, because a lot of the stuff that I was listening to, like the 1975 or whatever, they do have a drummer, you know, but it's
Hmm.
like
They have an
heavily
electronic
sampled.
sound. Yeah, they have a ton
Yeah,
of samples in their stuff. Yeah, they have a drummer and a guitarist, and yeah, the whole thing. But a lot of it's done on like pads and
exactly.
samples and stuff. Yeah, so that was kind of your influence through this new stuff.
Yeah. And I am now ashamed to say that Imagine Dragons was a huge influence, but apparently people think that's like the lamest band ever. And I didn't know that when I went to the producer being like, make this sound like Imagine Dragons, which that
Oh,
song, by the way, is not even out yet. and it won't be out until the next one. But that first song, I'm like, I want
Oh,
this to sound like, because we worked on a whole batch of stuff, and I was like, I want this. I kind of want like an Imagine. I think Bad Love too. I was like, think Imagine Dragons, and he's like, cool, got it, and
yeah.
like he did. And then like on the internet, right after we did that, all of a sudden there was like Imagine Dragons or the new Nickelback, and I'm like, what? Where did this come from? I don't understand.
People just get jealous over other successful people. I mean, people trash Nickelback. They're not a great band. Like, I wouldn't listen to them, but they're obviously doing something where they have attracted fans and have sold millions of albums. And same with Imagine Dragons.
The thing with Nickelback is they were the trigger that launched a bunch of really, really bad bands.
That's true.
In the context of when they began, I think they were actually, we all liked them.
They're like the pioneers of terrible music.
Yeah. And that's an unfortunate reputation to have, but I don't think it's their fault.
Yeah. I know. It's like they just get trashed on, which is, I mean, again, I'm not a fan of the band. But Imagine Dragons,
I feel like deserve it even less because they created like a whole new sound.
Yeah. And they worked their asses off too.
I know that. I just think it's just so amazing the kind of stuff that they think of. Mm-hmm. And I just don't see why people hate on it.
Yeah, because that first record didn't have that very overproduced sound that they kind of got. But
even
smart.
With like when I heard the song Thunder, everyone was ripping on that song as being really stupid or whatever. But like I had never heard something that sounded like that before, and I thought it was so cool, and I really liked the message, even though, it's like kind of a message that's been done, but like sometimes we need a message that's been done because it's a good message.
Sure. Yeah. I noticed that you list Taylor Swift as one of your influences too.
I love Taylor Swift.
You have a kind of your voice kind of reminds me of Taylor Swift a little bit.
Thank you.
I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. My wife will attest to that. Like,
I'm like the biggest.
I love her. I think she's so talented and so amazing. So I thought that was cool that you listed her. A lot of people wouldn't probably put her down. I
don't know why, because there's not the thing about Taylor Swift that I just absolutely love is that she like tells these stories that people want to write off as lame, but there's nothing from that sort of female perspective ever really. Like almost never is there this sort of like feminine voice that is like, not in the mainstream at least, that's like very tender and soft and heartbroken, but also like unreliable and sometimes unlikable. And like, there's just not that. There are a lot of like men who like sing songs about being an unlikable person, like brand new, made an entire career about saying horrible stuff. And then people are like, oh my God, we can't believe the news. I'm like, what? He literally said it.
That's what I say to my friends. I'm like, do you know have you ever read Brand New's lyrics? You're surprised by this whole thing? Like
exactly.
Me versus Miranda versus Elvis. Just read the lyrics of that song and be like, okay,
I love that song. And I love it for that because I feel like I really relate to that feeling of like being lonely and desperate and being with someone who's lonely and desperate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's not something people want to sing about often or reveal about themselves. And I feel like Taylor Swift has that kind of vulnerability of revealing unlikable parts of like her humanity that other women don't do.
Sure. It's like Alanis Morissette did in the 90s. It kind of reminds me.
She did, yes. Yeah. And I love her.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait for the new EP to come out. Super excited. Loving the songs that I've heard from it so far.
Thank you.
And is it going to be weird to put out a record hope maybe we won't be in quarantine by May 22nd, but I wouldn't.
New York is.
Hold your breath. Oh, they are going to be.
Oh, wait,
sure.
No, it was the 15th.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
I heard the 4th here in California, but we're all going to be on the same timeline, I have a feeling. But
I was nervous about releasing it in like quarantine, but then I was thinking everyone I know has pushed their releases back. So then do I just compete with a million people at the end and people don't have music in the middle and are just sitting at home with nothing to do or listen to because everyone pushed their release back and then they can't even listen to all of those because people have limited time.
Right.
So I was like,
everyone's going to put out a record at the same time.
Yeah. I was like, I'll just not do that. I'll just keep it.
Are you going to do any live stream or anything to promote it as far as that goes?
I have been trying to plan that kind of stuff. I did a live stream earlier, like in quarantine, and it was cool. I think people are losing a lot of steam with that.
Yeah. It's hard. I
but
know Ben Gibbard from Death Cab was saying he was going to do one every day, and it's like, I don't think he realizes we're like 8 weeks now into it. Like,
I've been like going on when I'm bored, like random times, because I'm like writing a lot at home, so I'll go on Instagram Live and like play a verse and like ask people what they think about it, and
That's
then I end
cool.
up just like taking requests and stuff, and that's been going really well.
That's
Especially,
a really good idea. You can feel people out how they feel about the song before
yeah,
you even
because I don't really, because I don't know. I feel like I'm less connected with the people I normally create with. Like, so why not just ask people who are online, like, is this cool?
Yeah, people that are already your fans and like what you're doing.
So I've been doing that, and then the playing requests, trying to relearn a lot of songs on the fly that I haven't played in years. I've been looking up tabs and trying to play it as I go.
Like
so
your old songs?
Yeah, so I'm thankful that people have tabbed my songs for me. They're usually awesome. Correct.
That's really cool.
So I'm doing stuff like that, but I want to do something more formal. That's not me pretending I know how to play my songs. I want it to be me like actually remembering and not reading someone else's tabs of my songs.
That's funny. Well, Mariel, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great. I have one more question for you.
Sure.
I want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
I think my advice would be to find what makes them and hold on to it and never let it go and show everybody, because that's really the thing that people are going to fall in love with about you. It's not going to be like if your band sounds like this cool band on the radio or whatever's trendy. It's going to be like if your band sounds like you, because when people fall in love with a band, they fall in love with, those people and their unique perspective. So I would say that, like, hold on to that.